Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into, well, just a single source. It's the Sky Sports article, but it gives us a really sharp look at a potentially pretty significant football transfer story.
That's right. We're focusing on the news around striker Liam Delap and his potential move from Ipswich to
Yeah.
Chelsea. This deep dive is really all about unpacking what this specific report tells us.
Exactly. Our mission, and we're drawing only on the info in this article, is to understand the key details, explore the analysis and the opinions presented in it, and just consider the implications of this move. So let's just jump straight into the headline from the piece. Chelsea have agreed a deal to sign Ipswich striker Liam Delap.
Yeah, that's the big news the article leads with straight away.
Mm.
And it gets specific about the cost, too. Chelsea are apparently set to meet his £30 million release clause.
Okay, 30 million.
But the key detail here, which the source really highlights, is why that clause is active now. It's because Ipswich, well, they got relegated from the Premier League.
Ah, right. So relegation triggered that specific price tag. Makes sense. 30 million pounds is, it's still a significant fee, obviously, but the article gives us some pretty fascinating insight into why Delap might actually choose Chelsea. It wasn't just about playing in the Champions League, was it? According to this report.
No, and that's a really interesting point the report makes. It suggests his preference was quite clearly Chelsea.
Yeah.
And the reason cited, well, they go beyond just playing in Europe's top competition.
Okay, so what factors does the article highlight then? What are they saying?
Well, the report points to the style of play Chelsea uses, the fact that it's quite a young squad, and also his perception, his view on the opportunities he might get to play first-team football there.
Right.
And there's also this belief within the players' camp, according to the source anyway, that he can really challenge for major trophies alongside this group for years to come.
That paints a picture of a player looking at the sort of broader project, not just the next season. And the article notes that there are some pre-existing connections too, right? That might have played a part.
Oh, absolutely. Those relationships are mentioned as being pretty significant. He previously played alongside Romeo Lavia and Cole Palmer back at Manchester City.
Right. Okay.
Plus, and this is key, he worked under Chelsea's current head coach, Enzo Maresca, and also the recruitment co-director, Joe Shields, when they were all based up in the Northwest. So, yeah, familiar faces. That can make a big difference in a move like this.
Yeah, it definitely adds a layer of comfort, I suppose, to such a big transfer. And there's even a little detail about him watching a specific game.
Yes, the source includes this, specific anecdote. Apparently, he watched Chelsea's Conference League final win and was particularly impressed by their second-half performance in that match. So it suggests he's really paying attention to how the team actually plays.
Interesting. So that covers the player's reported perspective from the article. What about the club side? The deal mechanics, it sounds like personal terms are the next step.
That's the stage mentioned, yeah. Discussions for personal terms are coming up. But they're expected to be pretty straightforward before the medical gets done.
Okay.
And the article sort of frames this move as fitting neatly into Chelsea's recruitment model. Investing in young, developing players, tying them down on long, incentivized contracts. The total cost, when you factor in wages, was also a consideration, according to this report.
Right. And this signing, it isn't happening in isolation, is it? The article brings in the perspective of Sky Sports chief reporter Kaveh Solhekol, who suggests this deal kind of kicks off what looks set to be a really busy summer at Chelsea.
Yeah, that's a key piece of context the article provides. Solhekol reports that Chelsea are actually looking to sign more attacking players, wingers included. Apparently, they have a list of maybe 9 or 10 names they're targeting overall this summer.
Wow, okay. So Delap might not be the only attacking addition this window based purely on this report.
Exactly. And this naturally raises the question the article itself poses. Will Chelsea sign just one striker, or could they possibly look for another? And just to sort of understand the market Chelsea's operating in, the piece mentions names like Hugo Ekitike, Victor Gyökeres, Benjamin Sesko.
Right.
As examples of other strikers being discussed more broadly in the transfer landscape this summer.
Okay, just to be super clear, though, those other names aren't necessarily linked directly to Chelsea in this specific report, are they? They're more like examples of the activity happening elsewhere.
Precisely, yeah. The source uses them to frame the wider striker market.
Yeah.
And the article also points out the necessary flip side of bringing players in, which is that others would likely have to leave to make room financially and in the squad.
Makes sense. It sounds like potentially significant movement down at Stamford Bridge then. And the club's aims are clearly high, according to this report.
Well, yeah. Kaveh Solhekol states that While they were, pleased with last season, the club really wants to push higher. They want to win the Champions League. And they apparently see Delap as someone who can contribute to that ambition.
Okay, so if Delap does arrive, what does this article suggest it means for the existing players, particularly Nicholas Jackson? The report seems to tackle that directly.
It does, yeah. The article asks that very question. And it uses the sheer volume of games next season as a way to sort of assess the potential playing time. I mean, Chelsea will have at least 8 Champions League fixtures, 38 Premier League games, plus the domestic cups.
That's a packed schedule, isn't it?
It really is. And then there's the Club World Cup in the U.S., which means they won't have a normal preseason. The article notes this will create plenty of opportunities for different players to get minutes and make an impact even quite early in the season, so maybe the fixture list mitigates some of those immediate competition concerns.
Now, here's where the analysis and opinion really comes into play in this article. Sky Sports' Peter Smith offers a pretty strong take.
He does, yeah. Peter Smith's opinion, stated quite clearly, is that Liam Delap could turn out to be the bargain buy of the summer, which is, quite a bold statement for a $30 million fee.
Yeah, calling $30 million a bargain definitely needs some justification. What analysis does Peter Smith provide in the article to back that view up?
Okay, so he points first to Delap hitting double figures for goals in his debut full Premier League season. And he stresses, importantly, that this came despite Ipswich's struggles and, eventual relegation. He describes Delap as the driving force of their attack.
Right. But he focuses on more than just the goal tally, though, doesn't he? The analysis highlights a notable range of skills.
Yes, exactly. And this is a key reason why Smith seems to see him standing out. He notes Delap's ability to hold up the ball, which, you kind of expect from a number 9, but also his ranking among the top 25 Premier League players for take-ons.
Yeah.
Successful dribbles.
Hold-up play and successful dribbling. That does sound like a somewhat unusual combination for a central striker. Able to be both a focal point to receive the ball under pressure and someone who can actually drive past defenders.
The analysis in the article calls it a rare thing. Peter Smith also mentions Delap's overperformance of his expected goals, total his XG. And for anyone not deep into stats, that's basically an estimate of how likely a shot is to go in based on where it's taken from, the pressure, that kind of thing. So overperforming suggests really good finishing ability.
Okay.
And based on these points, Smith's opinion, as presented in the article, is that Delap is ready for the next step.
And how does that £30 fee stack up against the rest of the market, according to this piece?
Well, this is where the bargain angle really sort of crystallizes in the article's analysis. The £30 million release clause is seen as way below the reported price tags for some other strikers being linked with Premier League clubs, especially those coming from continental Europe. The article frames those other options as potentially being something more of a risk compared to Delap, who's already shown he can perform at the Premier League level.
Right. So reinforcing that initial strong opinion, investing in Delap appears to be a smart move, according to this analysis in the report.
That's the conclusion drawn from Peter Smith's points, yeah. It's presented as a potentially shrewd piece of business by Chelsea. However, it is worth noting, as the article itself does, there's still an element of intrigue. It says, and I quote loosely here, where that will be and how Delap would fit into a different system is intriguing. So it's not presented as a guaranteed home run, despite all the positive analysis.
It's interesting that the article includes that little note of caution, even while making the case for him being a bargain. Okay, and finally, the report also gives us a quick note on the other club involved here, Ipswich.
Yes, just briefly. The article mentions that Ipswich are apparently interested in Chelsea striker Mark Guiu. His name reportedly came up in the discussions around the Delap deal, and he's presented as the type of striker Ipswich would be looking for as a potential replacement. So maybe a potential reciprocal piece of business tied into this transfer.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. Based on our deep dive into this single Sky Sports source, we have a pretty clear picture presented. A significant potential transfer, Liam Delap to Chelsea for £30 triggered by Ipswich's relegation.
Yeah, and we've explored the players' reported reasons for choosing Chelsea, the project, the coach, the connections. We've looked at the context of Chelsea's apparently busy summer plans and their high ambitions, as reported by Kaveh Solokol. And we've delved into Peter Smith's compelling analysis and opinion piece, which frames this as a potentially smart, maybe even bargain move, highlighting Delap's specific, perhaps rare skill set and his readiness for that next step up.
So the article lays out the factual agreement, the deal being agreed, and then layers on that expert analysis and opinion regarding the deal's potential value and implications, both for Delap and for Chelsea.
It does. And maybe here's something for you, the listener, to consider as you digest this information from the report. Given the analysis that highlights Delap's readiness and that unique skill set, that blend of hold-up play, take-ons, and finishing, and confidently describes him as a bargain, what does it truly mean for a young player to be ready for such a big jump to a top club like Chelsea? Especially when the article itself ends with that intriguing little note about, how Delap would fit into a different system. Food for thought.